Welcome to the Personalities in the Workplace podcast. Each week, Timogi and I are introducing you to an easy-to-understand conversation about personality types. Listen, navigating the different personalities in your business can be a tedious task, and we get it. But we believe that once you understand what drives and stresses those you work with, you can better interact and steer those same people towards productivity and success. In order to help, today we're focusing on our 10th personality type, the ISTJ, who we call the Examiner. As we get started here, I'm going to take a very quick moment to do a little shout out to Sage Garden Care Center, who is sponsoring this episode of Personalities in the Workplace. We would love to work with you. Go check out what we offer and how we can help on our website, www.sagegardencare.org. All right, let's jump into our podcast.
Timogi, the Empowerment Specialist, is right here with my guest, Chuck Taylor.
Hey, Timogi. It is so good to be with you today.
You as well, Chuck. So thank you for joining us again for the Myers-Briggs personalities. Today, we're going to dive into ISTJ. And what's so ironic about this one is 2 of these are my initials, but as I look at the personality traits, none of this is me. Like, who are these people? I don't know these people, but yeah, let's go for it. ISTJ today, the Examiner.
You know, I love this one, and the icon that we have on these cards that you can look at in the show notes is the magnifying glass. And if ever there were a personality type that really goes deep in what they look at, it is the ISTJ. I've met several of these personalities, and it seems like every single one of them wants to dive deeper, get closer to the information to learn about whatever it is they're talking about. They're studying this. So if those who know me know that I am married to a beautiful, wonderful woman. Her name is Leanne.
Hi, Leanne.
Right? And she is an ISTJ. And in the first part of our marriage, before we learned about personalities and we came to understand each other, every conversation felt like 20 questions.
Oh, wow.
What are you doing? Why are you doing it? Where are you spending this money? What are you doing? All this kind of stuff that she would go into. It's because she's the examiner. She wants to know more, wants to get to the root cause, wants to understand the issue.
So, this sounds like we should, this Myers-Briggs podcast should go to those considering marriage, right? This yes. might help them.
We're going to do personalities in marriage next.
Yes, absolutely. So let's dive into this ISTJ, the Examiner.
Right.
So it sounds like these people like the hardcore facts.
Love the hardcore facts, love the hardcore data, and love to be able to examine what's going on beneath the surface. I got a guy I'm thinking of right now, and he works in management at a manufacturing area, and he is the data guru. He can sit at the desk all day long and cull through spreadsheet after spreadsheet after spreadsheet and look at numbers all day long. I know, just thinking about it makes me want to vomit. It sounds wrong, but he's great at it, and he is an asset to the company. I think he makes more than they pay him, which is probably a really good salary, because he's able to get in there and find stuff that other people would gloss over and wouldn't even pay attention to, because he's great with the details.
So they cover the details, they find the facts, they get the raw data, right? And so then, and before we get into their stressors, but then I'm thinking you have to do something with that, right? And so, as a little bit more of a feeler, when I see that these ISTJ personalities are conventional and structured, I mean, I don't even know if I should be able to even talk about these people.
So here's the image that I like to create. If you're in the workplace, this is the individual who can objectively look at information that comes in and say, irrespective of whoever works in the office with you, it doesn't matter if this person is a single mom or whatever. They just look at the data for what it is and what it says, and they bring it back and they go, okay, when we look at this data, here's what it's telling us. Now, they're not the kind of people that are going to use that data and go, and here's the plan of action, here's what we could do. It's not saying that they can't do that. That's not necessarily their strength. They're good at examining the data. And then they hand it off to the other people who can then say, okay, now you've objectively given me great information. Here's what I think we ought to do with it.
Okay, so let's look at their strength. They're detailed and logical. as well as independent.
Right.
So when I think about an investigation, I'm of the Columbo age and the Ben Matlock
Yes.
age.
Yes.
So I think that both of them might somewhat fall into this ISTJ. Talk to me.
Yeah. So when you think independent, think about the person who doesn't mind sitting in an office on their own. They really want to be left alone because it's in that quiet space that they're able to really access information within their mind, really look at details. My wife will tell me often the noise is disruptive. There's too much noise and input. They spend a lot of time in their own mind, and they want that quiet place to be able to work, to be able to dig into those details, to be able to dig out the facts. And never underestimate the logical side of this personality, which is a big strength. One of the things I love so much about my wife is because I am a feeler. I'm a very passionate feeling-based person. I get in trouble because of the relationships that I'm with a lot of times because I just feel for people, right? And I get tied into those relationships. She can make decisions and not worry about whether it hurts somebody's feelings or not.
Wow. I'm not even going to touch that. What I'm going to say is that the next personality trait we see is that they are fair and reasonable.
Yes. So here's some of the things that I always want to take us back and remind to. As every personality type believes in fairness. They look at it from different angles, right? So those who are more logically oriented, those on the thinking side of the spectrum, they look at fairness from kind of a universal arrangement. They want to make sure fairness is extended to everybody equally, whereas those who are more feeling oriented want fairness related to the individual themselves. ISTJs are huge on fairness. They really believe that fairness should be extended to everybody, but fairness should be that universal quality. What we do for one, we do for everybody. And they don't want special favors being passed along because that messes up structure, that messes up their detailed environment, that doesn't allow them to plan accordingly. If everything's fair for everybody, then they can work within that process.
So fair, but fair based on the facts, basically, and not on the feelings.
Right. We want to take a brief moment here to tell you about Sage Garden Care Center and why we've made this podcast available to you. Every business can optimize productivity by educating their leaders, managers, and employees of their blind spots and pain points. We provide the knowledge and the tools to help you engage your employees to best contribute to the organization's success. We help you leverage their strengths so that you can trust they're helping your organization flourish. As an optimization coach, I help companies nationally and internationally unify their teams, effectively engage conflict, communicate well, and bolster their aptitude for success. Whether you work with a company, a church, an NGO or nonprofit, an education center, or anything else, we have trainings that will help your team. Learn more at sagegardencare.org and look for Chuck's Coaching under the Services tab. Schedule your free consultation appointment today, and we will discuss a plan that fits your budget, your needs, and your goals. All right, let's jump back into our conversation. So you find, I tell you what, here's something that's really good. You find a lot of law enforcement. ISTJs, they gravitate to law enforcement, and they oftentimes will see that the law is the law, and we want the law to be applied universally. The difficulty is the law is not structured that way, right? It's not designed that way. And so whenever you go into any kind of system that works with people, there are always variables that go into play and whatnot. But I think the reason that most people that are ISTJs are, while a lot of ISTJs are attracted to law enforcement, is because they like the structure that law seems to bring.
And when I hear structure, fairness, facts, all of these, conventional, even keel and focused people, I think about our blue collar workers as well, right? Because I think this is the person who I want in my factory,
absolutely,
on the floor, managing the team in order to make sure things are being produced well.
It wasn't until I really got into personalities that I began to see that there are actually people who are okay doing the same thing over and over and over every day. For the longest time, I imagined there's no way that there's anybody that enjoys doing that. But as I've come to meet these personalities, there are, in fact, they actually find comfort and security in doing those jobs and doing them well.
You know, I actually just saw an article the other day online about a gentleman who took pictures at the same New York City street corner for over 20 years.
Oh, my goodness.
At the same time.
Oh, my goodness.
Every day. And you would be surprised at how many people he was able to show 10 years later. Like, there was like 3 girls and 3 guys that were still walking to work together on that corner every day.
And isn't that a cool story of his tenacity to stay there and do that with rigor, and yet he's able to bring out such beauty and life, and wow, that's fascinating.
Wow, because let me tell you how I saw it. I was like, gosh, yeah, she needs to change her hairstyle, update. And, you know, I'm like, ooh.
Yeah, right.
You know, walk a little. And what was interesting, even the girls and guys who were walking together, they were literally in the same order.
Wow, that is fascinating.
Yeah, it's worth a look. It's worth a look. So I think about these ISTJs that are structured, conventional, even-keeled, logical, detailed, and reliable, right? So every day they walk together in the same order even.
I got a guy who is an ISTJ. I've known him for a really long time. And he is the definition of even keel. He is just, I mean, there's the same energy all the time. He never really seems to get rattled. He never really seems to get upset. He never seems to be bothered about stuff. He's just very consistent. And it's what you want. I mean, in his job, I mean, he's great at what he does, and people really like him. And there's this I know consistently and reliably I'm going to get this from this individual, and we like that. We want.
Well,
that.
you have supervisors going right now. Can I just have a whole staff of those folk? Right.
That's exactly right. Now they are conventional, so. They like traditions. They like the safety of the known. They enjoy being able to look back on the past and say, okay, this is what we did before. It worked, so let's stay here. Changing things up on an ISTJ, we're going to get to that in just a moment, is really going to stress them out. So you need to give them about 2 years notice before you decide to change stuff. They literally change. But if you want someone who will do a job consistently well and stay with you, these guys are the ones that get the work done.
And so, speaking of their stressors, indecisiveness and abstract ideas. And I'm like, those things excite me, but go ahead. Go ahead. Talk to me a little bit about that.
So finding the stress in the person who comes up and says, I don't know, should we do this or should we not do this? Look, these are people who like working with a plan. They like working in structure. So you come up to them and say, this is what I need done, and they will run with it. But if you come up to them and you go, I think I want this, or maybe I want this, you're wasting their time. And that is just a huge stressor for them. They want to do the work, they just need direction on how to do it. And abstract ideas, our NF people probably stress out the STs probably more than anybody else.
Yeah.
Because NFs are great at abstract ideas. They're constantly just thinking and dreaming of who knows what. And so it's, I think I want to do this, or what about this idea over here? And I, especially ISTJs, just bring it down. Tell me exactly what you want, and then we can go with it.
So because their stressors include, things that, again, are abstract, things that are unprepared, clutter, we talked about the noise, and people and things that are overly emotional, what would you like to say are some areas of growth for managers who have to manage these ISTJs?
Well, there's a few interesting ones. So the word clutter jumps out people because I meet with a lot of ISTJs, and they will say, well, that one doesn't fit me because my desk is quite messy. And I'll say to them, you think it's messy, but I bet you know where absolutely everything on the desk is.
Those people.
And they'll say, well, yeah, I do. And I said, and if somebody walks in, they mess with some of your stuff, because I'd lose my mind. So they don't like clutter. They like structure, but they like their structure, what it looks like for them. So you don't go messing around with their stuff, number one. And so I've found managers that will come in, and sometimes it can be helpful, sometimes it's not. I want your desk clean. I want everything straightened up. And that can be helpful as long as they have access to the information that they need. Feeling overwhelmed, listen, if you've got an ISTJ, if they don't have a door to their space that they can close, you're not getting the maximum work out of them. right? They need to be able to shut off all the other noise, all the other background stuff that's going on, just to be able to focus on their work. Give them a room that they can do their job well. You don't have to worry about whether they're doing their job or not. They're going to do their job.
Okay, excellent. One more. Give me one more for managers who work with ISTJs.
Well,
Chuck.
I think the biggest one is unplanned change. Absolutely is. Do not walk in the door and just say, hey, we're going to change this. They need to know what you're and listen, here's the thing. If you do this well, ISTJs are perfectly fine with change. They can go with change. But they need to know why you're changing it. They need to know when you're changing it. They need to have enough time to adjust their plans and their schedule because they've already mapped out the work that they're doing. They've already planned out what needs to be done to help them do well in their job. So when you just shift stuff and say we're going to change things, and especially if you don't have a firm plan as to why, they're going to get really bothered. They're going to get really stressed about that. So no unplanned changes.
Well, let me let the ISTJs know now that we are signing out of this podcast in about 30 seconds. And you can plan what you're going to do next, but we ask that you plan to listen to the next in the series,
That's
okay?
Right. That's right.
Thank you so much, Chuck.
Absolutely. It's always a pleasure. Thank you for listening to episode 15 of the Personalities in the Workplace podcast. Remember to check out the show notes for stuff to help you with personalities in your workplace. There are these super cool personality cards that we mentioned. Just imagine if everyone in your office had one and you knew what strengths they possess or what stresses them out before you even begin your conversation. You can learn your type by following the link to take your personality assessment and invite everyone on your team to take it too. Look in the show notes for more information on Timogi Jackson and me, Chuck Taylor. We would love to work with you one day. Each episode, we're bringing you practical, tangible, and engaging conversations that will help you gain perspective on the people you work with. Join us for the next episode where we will discuss the technician, the ISTP personality type. Is there something you want to learn about regarding personalities? Look, just send us an email to chuck@personalitiesintheworkplace.com. In our next season, I will be interviewing personality types in the workplace. Do you want to be on the show, or do you know someone who would be great for our show? Complete the application in the show notes, and we will follow up with you. Thank you.